Hi everyone, it's Tim Robinson here, Vice President of Marketing at ThermoWorks.
And Chef Martin.
And we're here on the ThermoWorks barbecue patio, bringing to you live some important information about how to cook burgers. Labor Day is coming up.
That's right.
One of the biggest grilling days of the year. And we've got some tips for you today. They're gonna make your burgers that you cook for your family on Labor Day maybe the best burgers you've ever had, right?
Probably.
Most people just throwing meat on a grill.
Yeah,
But we've got some inside baseball that's going to make a difference for you.
That's right, yeah, absolutely.
So, Chef Martin, get us started. What do you have here?
Well, first we're going to start by making our own patties. If you are buying frozen patties, that's okay, but if you really want better burgers, you're going to want to make your own patties.
And you're making a patty out of some kind of special meat, right?
Yeah, this is meat that I've ground myself here. So there's a lot of advantages to that we can talk about later. You can cook them to a lower temperature and have them be juicier that way. This is going to be a really big patty here. That's okay. That's fine with me. But this is fresh ground meat. This is about 50-50 short rib and chuck. So I took the meat off the short ribs and then ground it with the chuck.
Did you cube it first? Or
yeah,
did you...
cubed it first and had it cold. And I just put this in the food processor. If you have a meat grinder, by all means go for it. But for small amounts like this, I just did a pound for this video. A food processor works just great.
Okay, and this is fresh meat, so we're going to be able to cook some slightly different temperatures. As you say, we'll get to that.
That's right.
You're putting some little divots in the center?
Yeah, actually this is a question that comes up a lot. People don't like it when they make their burgers and they swell up in the middle and they get all rounded. If you put a divot in the center to begin with, you kind of counteract that from happening.
So form the patty and then place the divot.
Go ahead and put a divot in the center there.
You don't need to do both sides, right?
No, not both sides. And then, honestly, if you have good meat, you don't need anything fancy. You just need some salt and pepper on there. We've got some good sea salt here.
Do you need to salt them in advance, or you can do it right at the time you're about to put them on the grill?
You can salt them in advance, but don't salt the meat before you form the patties. That's actually... it will make the structure of the patty weird. It'll change the texture. So I salt and pepper both sides.
Fantastic.
Like that. And I know I've got meaty hands, but we're not going to use this salt for anything else. I just got this out just for this. So
okay. All right, let's talk about how you've got this set up.
Yeah.
We have a ThermoQ here that's got two probes. One of them is a ceramic probe that goes to a very, very high temperature.
Yeah.
And we have two different temperature readings there. Why is that?
Well, the reason for that is we're doing a two-stage, a two-zone cooking on this. So we've got a high heat cooking zone over here, over direct heat, and we've got a low heat indirect cooking zone over here. So this is at nearly 600 degrees, which is going to be great for searing later. And this is about 300 degrees, which is a nice slow way to come up to temp.
Okay, now some people think of that reverse searing technique as something for steak, but we're doing that for burgers.
Right, and there's no reason we shouldn't do it for burgers. If it's good for steak, it's going to be good for burgers. We want a steak done exactly to temp, right? But we also want our burgers done exactly to temp.
Okay.
People think of burgers as just going on the flames and being consumed by the fire, and that's not a good burger, actually.
I've eaten a few of those.
I've eaten so many of those. I'm tired of them. So by doing it this way, it's kind of like, so if you think of the temperature rising as momentum, if you were running and you wanted to stop on a dime, it'd be really hard to run and stop on that dime. But if you were to walk up close to that dime and then jump onto it, that'd be a lot easier. And so that's what we're doing here. We're going to walk the temperature up close to our finishing temperature, then we're going to put it on the sear and kind of just jump onto that temperature from a lot closer.
So indirect circulating hot air as opposed to direct flame, so that we can pull it at a precise temperature.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, let's check out what you got going on in here. Let's look at those two different zones.
So yeah, over here, high heat, flames, charcoal, the whole thing. We've got our probe going in there. Don't do that with the normal probe. Only the ceramic probe can take that. And over here, we've got our low heat section. We've got 3 burgers already cooking. So I've got these ones here. They're ready to move over onto the sear. We're about 20 degrees below our finished temperature.
So your finished temperature is?
130 degrees for these. These ones are going to be medium rare.
Okay.
Let me put this on and we can talk about that.
Okay.
There we go. I'm going to pull
this out. You didn't flip them on the indirect side, I noticed.
I did not, no, because it's not doing anything to flick it. We're not getting any char or anything there like that. Sounds great.
So we cooked the interior over here, and now we're going to sear up the outside. Is
That's
that correct?
right. That's correct. I'm going to throw this guy on here, and we can talk about what's going on here with this, because we do want to insert the probe into this to watch its temperature.
Okay, so you're going to tell us how to insert the probe, because that's a
Yeah.
critical part, right?
So this probe has been in here, so it's already hot. We're going to go parallel to the grill grates. This guy needs to go to a higher temperature because that's store-bought ground meat.
Okay.
We'll talk about that in a second. But we're going to go in right like that.
So you're trying to get
There
the
we go.
probe tip in the center of the burger,
Right in the very center of the burger, that's right.
and you're coming in from the side.
Yeah, if you try to go in from the top, it's just going to fall over and break the burger and stuff like that, and we don't need that.
Okay.
So for the indirect, I would close this, but now I'm watching these, so these are going to get a little disrespected in there, but that's okay.
So it can be open for the direct sear.
Yeah, you can be open for the direct sear. And you only want to go about a minute, maybe a minute and a half per side, and you want to start checking the temperature on those with your ThermoPen basically right away.
Okay, let's grab a ThermoPen.
I'm going to give them a flip here real quick.
Oh, those are looking so good.
Oh yeah, and the smell, don't even get me started, right? The fresh ground meat we can cook to a lower temperature. It's safer to cook this way. It's safer to cook this to a lower temperature. So right there at about 130-ish, that says it's 140 in that part, 134. So these have got just a second. I'm going to pull those off.
133, so you're about done with those. It
I'm
didn't
about
take
done with
long
those.
to sear them.
No, it didn't. So really it is a jump onto that dime. You know, we're going to go through this last bit of temperature really quickly. Can you hand me a plate there?
Yeah, you've got direct flame coming up, so that's really going
Yeah.
to get that nice char.
Yeah, and that comes, you know, you get the fat, you get the juices dripping down there. That's going to come up. And we can let those
Beautiful.
rest for just a minute. That'll be
Okay.
fine.
So
We'll
while
close
these are
this.
resting, let's talk a little bit about the temperature differential, because
Yeah.
you said these could cook to 130, 135.
That's right.
But the store-bought meat, which is what most people are probably working with
That's right,
on
yeah.
Memorial Day,
Uh-huh.
should go to a higher temperature.
Yeah, so when you look at a whole muscle of beef, the interior of that is basically sterile. The exterior is where the bacteria lives. So when you grind meat, you take the outside and you mix it with the inside. This meat, this other meat from the store, like that came packaged from a factory to the store to me. That has been been sitting together for a long time. I don't know how long. I can't trust that. This meat that I ground fresh, like I bought that as a whole muscle, as a muscle piece. I ground it myself. I threw it on here, so I know that the bacteria hasn't been growing inside of that for a long time.
Okay.
It's like cooking a steak. You can cook a steak to rare, because the outside where the bacteria live gets cooked to 300 some odd degrees. The inside is still safe.
Okay, so this is more like ground steak, and we don't have to worry about the interior of the burger. But
right.
if we get the ground beef from the grocery store, it's been sitting there for a while, we need to make sure to pasteurize it. And we do that by getting the entire burger, including the interior, up to at least
160.
160
degrees. And that's going to be a little bit drier, you know. So if you want the best burgers, you're going to want to grind yourself or get some, like if you can watch the butcher grind it, then like go for it, you know.
Yes.
But like anything that's packaged and stuff like that, you're never going to want to cook that to a lower
Is there really a
temperature than
taste
60.
difference between the medium rare and
There
the...
really is a taste difference. It's incredible.
Okay.
It's fantastic. And a juiciness difference. I mean, a burger that dribbles down your chin like a peach, it's incredible.
Now you said 160 degrees. Is there any carryover with a burger like there might be with a steak?
There is. The bigger the burger, the more the carryover there is.
Okay.
So if you've got a big fat burger, so like a 2/3 pound or something like that, you're going to get some real carryover in there. 5 degrees maybe.
Wow.
But if you're doing, you know, quarter pounder or less, and maybe if you're doing the frozen ones or something like that, you're not going to get very much carryover at all. Maybe only a couple of degrees.
So I could pull it at 157 or 158?
158. Yeah, I'd probably
Okay.
go 158 for a quarter pound to a third pound burger.
Okay. Now I noticed that you tempt both of these burgers, these beautiful
right,
burgers,
yeah.
with the ThermoPen. So is that something people should do?
It is something you should absolutely do. So the ThermoPen is fast enough to be able to do that. Over that high heat, those temperatures are climbing so fast, you don't have time to wait around on a thermometer. Use the fastest thermometer available to you. Also, it's the most accurate. So I can stab every burger and make sure that everybody is getting a burger that's perfectly done.
I love that.
Not, you know, within a standard deviation of perfectly done.
Yes. So it's not like a representative sample that was cooked properly.
Yeah, that's right.
This
guy gets the good one. Everybody else, it's a crapshoot. You know, we're not doing that. Everybody gets a good one
And
at my
this
barbecue.
is fast enough and accurate. You can go ahead and just nail every burger.
That's right.
Pull
Chuck,
it
chuck,
off
chuck.
when it's ready.
That's right. And that's really the way to go. Now, if you don't have a Thermopen, go ahead and use the Thermopop, use the Thermopen Classic. That's just as fast.
Classic, yeah, just as fast
Just
and
as fast,
accurate.
just as accurate, just not all the bells and whistles. Go ahead and use the Thermopop if that's what you've got. And use any of our thermometers for the initial cooking. You do want to probe that. You can use, your X2, your smoke, your dot. That's super bare bones. I like the chef alarm for this function because it has a timer, and sometimes I need that for some other things. It's just nice to have it built in.
Okay.
The signals is obviously great.
It also has the max min. We can see we got to 129.
Yeah. In fact, that burger is so that one was a store-bought burger.
Yes, that's where we are now.
And it's not ready to go over to the heat yet.
So when is that going to go to direct heat, since that's a store-bought burger?
That's going to go to direct heat at 140 degrees. So like, and accomplish the last 20 degrees over the high heat. So in that way, actually, you also save time by grinding your own meat, because I can take them.
Faster.
Yeah, they cook a lot faster. That went on at the same time as these other two.
And it's still at 130.
It's still 130. Yeah, it's not even there yet. So I really like this for multiple reasons. But using the chef alarm is great. I can keep track of it. I can set an alarm on it. I can know when I need to do what.
Okay. Should we start making these
We
things?
should make these burgers, absolutely. So
Okay.
I'm gonna just take this here, put that on there. Look at all that. There's so much juice on this plate. Can you show them how much juice is on that plate? Yeah, man. I'm gonna dip my bun in that.
Now, we did not put cheese on these, but we're going to get to that, right?
Yeah. So you can put cheese on while it's cooking. That's hard to do when you're making when you're filming, because you're talking about other things. But by all means, don't skip the cheese. I like good sharp cheddar, but you know what? This is one place where I'm not ashamed to use some American cheese. I'm gonna go ahead and put 2 slices on that, in fact.
American cheese is not real cheese.
It's not real cheese, but
sinks down into the burger.
yeah, the way it melts on there and coats everything, and the way it feels on the tongue. Like, I mean, I may catch some flack for this, but let's face it, it's pretty dang tasty on a burger.
It is pretty good.
So we're gonna go like that.
So you've got some
I got
tomatoes.
cheese, ketchup, tomato, LTO, as we say in the business. Lettuce, tomato, and onion.
Okay, that looks beautiful.
I'm gonna get some onion on there first.
We're getting close to
There you
140 over there, so maybe you can show us how to
Yeah.
get the cheese going.
There, and some nice. We're at perfect tomato season here, so we're gonna pop that on there like that. And Tim, you can go ahead and take a bite out of that if you'd like. I'm going to talk about this. So we're at 138 over here for this one. I'm going to temp the other one that I put on and see where he's at. So this one that I put on late, it's at 110. So that's actually ready to almost ready to hop over there too.
Okay, so one of our questions that came in from our Instagram followers is, when do you put the cheese on? So you can talk about that.
Yeah,
right?
you put the cheese on after you do your last flip. So go ahead and put them on there, and when you flip it over to sear the last
time,
go ahead and slap your cheese on there. And if you can, if you're not too busy with other things on the grill, go ahead and close the grill at that time just to get some all-around heat
onto
to
the
let
cheese.
it sink into the cheese. You know,
I love the sound of that on the grill. It's
it's great. And you know,
just beautiful.
But you know, it's interesting. You can see, like, this is the store-bought meat. It's swelled up a bunch more.
It did make more of a sphere.
Even though I put the divot in it, that one's a lot more spherical. So, but the ones that I ground myself, the meat is looser. It hasn't been as abused and stuff like that. It tends to plump up less in the center, anyways.
Okay. A couple other questions that came from followers. What temp is the perfect burger? So we've mentioned it a few times. It depends.
Yeah, it depends. I like my burgers at medium rare. I like my burgers 130 to 135.
But you have to grind your own meat to do that.
But you have to grind your own meat for that. If you're not grinding your own meat, 160.
Okay.
Pull it at 158.
158. How hot should your searing surface be?
Your searing surface should be above 425, preferably in the range of 500 to 550. The higher you get, the harder that sear will be in the short time that you have.
So hotter is better.
Hotter is better, but I mean, if it's not at 425, don't even attempt it. It's not worth your time. But so this one we had at around 600. That's fantastic.
Okay. How do you keep the burgers from swelling in the middle? You mentioned the divot.
We talked about that. Putting that divot in there will help them help prevent the swelling.
Okay. Can you use the dot with the burgers to get the right temp?
Absolutely. The dot is fantastic for that. Go ahead and use your one probe for the dot to get up to the right temp. Now, once your burgers go on the direct heat, you can't have a probe in there anymore.
Okay.
You'll burn the probe out. Like that 600 degrees is too much, and you get flare-ups. You get flare-ups that can be 1200 degrees. And that's too much for the probe to take. So it's Thermopen or Thermopop once you hit the high heat.
Okay.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead.
Instant read only at the high heat.
Yep, so I flipped both of these.
Putting the
And we go
cheese
like that.
on,
Putting the
and
cheese on
then
there.
you can close the...
Yeah, we can close that.
for
We'll
the
give that
last minute.
just for one minute there.
Okay. Is there anything you need to do about the cables when you have a high heat?
I mean, just make
area?
sure that no cables are going across that high heat area. Always go around the high heat area or circumvent it
So
altogether.
we've come around the back.
Yeah, we went around the back. We got a long cable here, and so we're coming in from this side. If you try to just traverse the fire, you're going to burn out your probe.
And then the last question was, should you season the meat before making the patties or apply the season after the patties are formed?
I talked about that a little bit. Yeah, you want to, especially with salt, like if you want to mix some pepper into your ground meat or something, that's a different story. But salt changes the way the proteins act with each other. And so if you pre-salt the meat before you make a patty out of it, it's not going to go well. Yeah.
Let's check the burgers. So this one we're looking for 160.
And we're at I got 166 is my lowest temperature there. So that guy is well done there.
Okay.
Take him off.
We talked
And
a little
this
long
one,
there.
Yeah, This one's at 139, so that's more of a medium than a medium rare. That's okay. It's still going to be a nice juicy burger.
Some people like it that way.
They do.
And
All right.
that lower temperature from 160 is going to make it juicier.
It's
right?
still going to be way better than a 160.
Do you mind if I take a bite?
By all means, go for it.
Okay. Let's see what this is like. This is our medium rare. You can see the pinkness in there. And the juiciness of the burger. Oh, yeah.
Better than a hockey puck burger?
Oh, my gosh. The meat is kind of loose as opposed to tight. And there's more flavor in there. It's almost like a cloud of meat in a way.
Yeah.
And then you've got all the juiciness in there too. Then with the the ketchup and the onions and the
If I was serving these to my family, I'd be proud to put these on the table.
yeah. Why don't you go for it?
All right,
Take a
I
bite.
will. Yeah. And it's actually great to be grilling burgers right now because we're in peak tomato season and the tomatoes are actually ripe.
Yeah.
So
while Martin is enjoying his beautiful burger, we just want to take a moment to wish all of you a happy Labor Day. We hope you stay safe, have a wonderful time with your family, have some deliciously cooked foods. If it's burgers, be sure to take advantage of some of these tips. And until next time, thanks for joining us. We'll see you around.
thanks a lot.